Yo, what's up guys, how is everyone doing? Hope you're all having a fantastic day once again. Apologies for the stream starting just a couple minutes late. I had a couple technical issues there. You guys spoke, I think the majority said that they preferred, well, live streamed videos, and in this case it's actually going to work out really well, because like I said, actually I haven't said that yet, this stream is going to be something really dedicated to your questions as well, and the reasons for that are, it's a sort of more meta stream where we're covering topics that you know, we typically don't touch on because usually we just focus on actual TA. I just want to make sure that audio and everything is fine, so if you can let me know, because I have a feeling something is wrong. With that though, yeah, let's get right into it. Long-term versus short-term analysis. This is actually a really good topic. Refresh the page, guys. Yes, I think some people think this stream isn't live. Yeah, so let's talk about this this topic. It's very interesting. It's something that you know, you can find in many even TA books. You know, what I always recommend is things like reading the TA books, especially I've got in the description. There is, let's see, Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets by John Murphy, and then Market Wizards by Jack Schwager. They're two amazing books. Start with the top, go to the bottom one when you've gained more experience. And you see, the deal with long-term and short-term analysis is see, long-term analysis, you only do it once in a while, right? So you make an idea. Let's go over to the Bitstamp chart, and here it is. And you see, you make a trading idea, right? What do you think is going to happen with the market? And you sort of stick to that, right? Because you don't change it every 4 hours or every day like I've been doing, obviously. We're more short-term analysts and traders sort of in this community. But when you're a long-term trader, I mean, you're not even looking at the charts very often. You simply don't need to. Just one glance, even at the weekly chart, you don't change your trading ideas very often. And you know, the way I'm seeing it, there's only one real interpretation of this chart, because we are technical analysts, not fundamental analysts. And it is that, yes, Bitcoin is in a very firm uptrend. It has sort of two possibilities now. It can either continue to go down a little bit like 2014, or it can just start rising up right here, right now, a little bit like the 2013 bubble pop. Those are the sort of technicals, and that doesn't change until we breach a very significant level. And so for the past like 2-3 months, you wouldn't have even had to look at the charts. That's what long-term analysis is. It's where, you know, you set an idea, and then it's not that you don't change it sort of out of choice, but because you just genuinely do not need to change it, you stick to the same idea. It's very low stress. To be honest, with something like Bitcoin, with a history like this, and yes, like I said, we're not fundamental analysts, but it's pretty clear that the fundamentals are very strong. It's quite hard to go wrong with something like this. So you throw in a little bit of money, or a lot, you know, whatever you like, not financial advice. You stick with your trading idea, and you know, on the most part, hodlers, different things like that. Like, you know, I'm not a fan of the strategy, but in the very long term, it has worked out. You know, we're looking at the chart back from 2012, holding from $3 up to $7,000 is a pretty good deal. That's a nearly that's more than a 2,000x return gain. So it's pretty good. Yes, like I said, arguably much easier, but, you know, if the goal is wealth creation, this doesn't really work. You see, the deal is, when you're, you know, say you just buy once, or, you know, we're now in 2018, and obviously, even if Bitcoin were to go to $100,000 from here, that would mean only, I'm very, very strange using the word only, that would mean only about a 15 times gain from here, 15x return, 1600%, and that's pretty good, but that's not going to turn $1,000 into $1 million, right? And it's, I know it sounds kind of far-fetched, but it's definitely possible. Turning 1,000 into $1 million, for example, starting with anything and becoming a millionaire is very doable. Naysayers will say it's not, but yeah, it's definitely doable. But this isn't going to work, right? So, you know, and there's going to be a cap to Bitcoin. Some people might not like me saying this, but it's not going to rise to $1 million. It's not going to do that kind of crazy stuff. I don't even think it's going to hit 100,000. But, you know, we're too early to say that. But, you know, even assuming it does, that's still only enough to take 1,000 up to $16,000, or 1,000 up to $15,000. that is, unless you're working with a very high number in terms of trading balance, it's not really life-changing. You know, going from $1,000 to $15,000 is not going to be life-changing, all right? Maybe you'll be able to pay off some really, really crucial things, but it's not going to get you that mansion, it's not going to get you that Porsche, and so this is where the short-term analysis comes in. This is where wealth creation, you know, is I guess the domain. The shorter time frames allow you to make money a lot faster. Why is that? Well, simply because you do a lot more trading. It comes with a lot more risk. In my opinion, it comes with a huge amount more of reward. That sentence made 0 sense. And it's a lot more fun. You know, we get to look at the markets every day. We get to stay intact with it. We get to breed the markets. It's something to do. Like, it's a bit of a career path. A terrible one at that, but it's a bit of a career path. And you know, different things like this, being able to constantly analyze the game and different things like that. You immerse yourselves in the market. It's, in my opinion, it's a way of life. For me, it is a way of life, and it's not the worst. It's quite high stress, but you know, it's paid back in reward. Like I said, wealth creation, and the reason for that is, you know, instead of just trading, you know, the swing from this is hardly even a swing, but instead of trading the swing from 200 up to 20,000, which is a 10 times gain, you could be trading the swing from 200 to 400, down to 300, and then up to 400 again. So you would have a 2x gain, and probably compound that. That's a 50% drop. That's not even 50%. Let's say it's a 50% drop, though. Leverage that, 2x leverage. 50% times 2 times leverage, you've got another 2 times gain. So you got a 2x gain up to 400, another 2x gain down, and you're up to a 4x gain. Yes. And from there, let's say you got another 2x gain, 4 turns into 8x, and you can see how that's sort of parabolic. Then next time you get a double, your 8x becomes 16. You've already beat out the swing from 2,000 to 20,000 just by trading. It's obviously not that easy because you are going to get liquidated. You are going to have your stops triggered. That's just part of being a trader. But sort of as long as you understand how to trade and you exercise the right risk management, it's actually very hard to go wrong, especially if you exercise the right risk management. If you're only going in with, say, 5% of your portfolio per trade, that means it's going to take 20 trades to wipe you out. 20 consecutive liquidations. That's really hard to do, even for the bad traders, especially if you understand how to trade anyway. And really all that is the trend is your friend. It really is not that hard. It's quite hard, but it's not as hard as I think most people think. And so, by trading the shorter term swings, you just open up a lot more opportunities to profit from these things. Especially, say, when we're in a bull market, you just long the dips. Throw on the moving averages, for example. It's a very clear story. I think it's most applicable, yeah, when we actually went very parabolic, sort of from 6,000. Right, this is 3,000, my bad. I mean, you know, you sort of long the dips down to the MAs, the moving averages. It falls into the MA, you go long, falls into it, go long, falls in, go long. Of course, the nuance here is that this is all very easily said because it's in hindsight, and also because, you know, I'm telling you to long over here, but we don't know what news resulted in that dip, right? We don't know what news resulted in this wick down to the MA support. We don't know what news resulted in this massive drop, right? From 7,700 down to 6,000. I actually remember that dip. I think that was China stuff. We don't know what news happened at that time. And the deal is, obviously, when you're living in the moment, everything feels quite significant. Now, in recent videos, I've been trying to sort of usher that out of everyone, because obviously it's a very stupid way to trade. But we're all victim to this, you know, to exactly what I mentioned. It happens to all of us, I think, without exception, at the beginning. And so once you sort of become immune to that news, you can realize that, okay, I mean, the trend hasn't been broken yet. I have no reason to believe that the trend has been broken, so I'm going to long what has already worked the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Why not? Is it going to fail the 6th time? Maybe, but I'm taking a calculated risk, and that's all of what trading is. That's how it works. Long-term approaches wouldn't be able to factor that in, because you enter at one point, and you simply just sort of turn a blind eye to it until the time is right. Now, that doesn't mean you don't watch the charts. Like I said, it could be that you watch it every week. It could even be analyzed. I know many long-term traders that still look at the charts daily. Tone Vase went to his workshop in Amsterdam. It was absolutely awesome. He's now a long-term trader. He mentioned that he only makes something like 8 trades a year, yet he still does daily analysis on Bitcoin. So you can very much be a long-term trader. You can very much focus mostly on long-term analysis, but then because you're so engrossed in the world of trading, you still do the short-term analysis. Very doable, and in fact, I think that is a very good approach to the entire game. Sort of going off track here. Let me check my notes. By the way, if we have questions, I want to go through them here as well. Because, yeah, I know this is going to be sort of perhaps a bit of a confusing video. I don't think we're getting many questions. The best traders sell the kids. Hodl your fiat. Is this the BitMEX troll box? Yeah, that's quite funny. Weak chart to analyze. What do you mean by the weak chart? Can I recommend a book on trend trading? I don't think you need a book on that. If you just understand how trends work, it's really quite simple. What conditioner do I... What? What have we got in the comments today? A support line at the weak chart. No, I don't do long-term analysis. That's the deal. So I can't do that. See, this, I mean, I can do it, right? But I find it a little bit pointless. So we've got many people, just I guess for the sake of this video, we'll go through it. Many people talking about sort of this, I believe they use the shift pitchfork, but I don't know how to use that tool. And something a little bit like this. This is perhaps what you're talking about. If you want the sort of really long-term weekly trend analysis. Yeah, lots of off-topic questions here. Yeah, I mean it looks like I've explained that well then, which I'm quite happy with. Yeah, I mean, just to quickly I know a lot of you want me to go through the sort of short-term analysis now, so I'm going to get to that in just a second. Yeah, but just to recap real quick, I believe there's one note I forgot to touch on. No, that's it. Yeah, so long-term analysis, you know, you sort of set an idea far in advance and you stick to it. The chances that you're going to be wrong are quite low, because as long as you understand the market, well, you won't even know that it's wrong until very later on, until much later on rather. But even then, if you take a very long-term HODL approach, it should work. It has worked. The only caveat there is really also with HODLing, really, everyone can talk a big game, especially in a bull market, saying that they're going to hold forever. But that, you know, that doesn't get, you know, you don't hear that same sentiment in a bear market. You don't still hear, I'm going to HODL this forever until 100k, until the fiat system dies and that kind of a thing. You don't hear that in a bear market, right? So you can talk a big game when we're going up. You know, people deciding that they're going to HODL forever at 20k, just like me. It doesn't work that way. So that's an issue with long-term trading. You know, to be able to do long-term trading and long-term analysis, you have to be very disciplined in that you won't really change your mind based off what's going to happen on the daily candles. And that's actually, yeah, that's really difficult. I should have probably said that a bit earlier because it's quite important. And then, yeah, sort of when it comes to the short-term analysis, it's the noise, right? You sift through the noise. The long-term analysis is always sort of what's going to carry the trend. We look at things like the Dow Jones, and it's obviously in a very long-term uptrend. Don't know if I can index. There we go. I mean, you know, it's undeniably in a very long-term uptrend. You know, this isn't gonna, it's not gonna dip down to like what is this? 2,000 pips, is it called? I believe it's called pips. It's not going to drop down to 2,000 pips like anytime soon. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about with this long-term trend analysis. You know, sort of the short-term trends that we analyze are to make the, you know, the wealth creation. And then the long-term analysis, you know, it's always going to take power over the short-term, you know, until the trend is broken, until we have a reason not to believe so. At every dip, it's just going to consolidate perhaps. It's going to be a bit of a continuation pattern, and then it's going to continue on higher as well. So that's, you know, and that's the same deal with Bitcoin. So of course we're sort of trading the more short-term things. We're trading the 1-day candles, the 4-day candles, but on the whole, it is always going to be the sort of long-term candles that that take power, I believe, if that's the right word, that turn out to be more important. It's always going to be that long-term trend, and we're sort of filling that noise with the short-term trend, trading that, making the money, and then yeah, I mean, since I think it's quite convenient, since Bitcoin is fundamentally strong, and I do believe it has an upwards future. I do believe that it's got a pretty good chance of breaking all-time highs at some point. By trading and accumulating more Bitcoin and then riding Bitcoin up in the USD valuation when the next bull market comes around, it's a pretty good strategy. You know, this is it's what I think a lot of long-term traders like to do. You know, what you typically see is short-term traders will make a good amount of money and then go into long-term trading because they no longer need that wealth creation aspect. That's what it's all about. It's about what suits you. Superman just bought a Tesla car worth $160,000. When will I bought ordinary Corolla of 20k? Nuruddin, don't be upset by that. If you're upset by other people's success, that's very unhealthy. You know, use that as a source of inspiration. I mean, I don't watch Superman anymore, but I did watch that Tesla video because, you know, everything aside about him, it's because of him that I entered the space. It's his Udemy course that I used to you know to actually enter the space because I was too scared before that, and he's put in the work. He has put in the work. He hasn't complained about not having, you know, things. And my screen cut off. All right. Yeah. No, that one shop stop. I mean, it's not on purpose, but I can't do anything about it. Yeah, man. Don't be upset by that Superman thing. It's I'm not talking about the price though. I don't know why everyone's talking about the price. Cool, let's go into the shorter term analysis now. We've got BART patterns everywhere. It looks like we're about to start one right now. This is something I potentially spotted, but wasn't entirely sure of it until I went live right now, and then sort of spotted that it's actually falling down. What we get is a BART up. We start to form a bit of a U shape, and then we go back down. Most likely, if we drop below, say 6,525, if you want to trade this because you like to gamble, you could set, for example, a stop market short right here, 6,520, not financial advice. Something like 25x leverage, write that down. Let's actually see what that would do. That would be a 1.5% drop. Multiply that by leverage, 1.5 times 25 would be a 37% profit. That's pretty good to call it a day. So one of two things can happen here. This really does depend on just what the bots want to do, how the bots are feeling out, these stops, these liquidations. What we could see is that it just drops off a cliff right now, relatively soon, within the next couple minutes, with volume. Most likely drop to this level, perhaps even drop lower. That would be a pretty good profit if you are shorting, but what could just as easily happen is it's just going to continue to go sideways now. It could, you know, the next blue candle could end up, rather the next candle could be blue and send it a little bit higher, and that would invalidate this sort of U-shaped BART. You know, it could really go those two ways. It's probably not going to BART up right now. That's not the trend it typically follows. It followed a very similar trend back here. This was actually a W though, so it's actually quite a bullish sign. Yes, it did end up, in essence, yes, forming a bit of a U shape and then BARTing up. In this case, yeah, like I said, a W. Let's see what else we got. Would you say the best goal is to accumulate as many Bitcoins as possible using altcoins for the next few years? Irish Paddy, are you someone I've spoken to in the past? But yeah, in answer to your question, no, I wouldn't. Well, I would say that accumulating Bitcoin, yeah, for the next few years is probably... Oh, are we bouncing down now? Cool. Let's see how this plays out. I'd say that accumulating Bitcoin is a decent idea. It depends on if you believe in the long-term sort of, well, yeah, longevity of it. Using altcoins to do that, though, that's where I draw the line. That's where I don't think it's a good idea. I used to be an altcoin trader. You know, like I've been running VIP for over a year now. It's been 14 months or something. Yeah, 14. Wow, 14 months. I've been an altcoin trader for most of those 14 months. But then after trying out leverage and really getting very serious about it, I don't see a point in any other form of trading. Altcoin trading to me now has become just another form of sort of long-term trading, and well, now that we've now that we've gotten this far in the stream, you know my thoughts on that. I'm not very fond of it. Leverage trading, man. The deal with leverage trading is once you understand trading and you understand risk management, combining that with leverage is quite a deadly combination. Deadly in a good way or a bad way. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little bit easier for me to say because I've been around for a little bit. Not too long, obviously, but enough to know. So that's why it could be a little bit easy for me to say this, but on the whole, I do think that, you know, probably instead of trading alts, trading on leverage is the best way to go. And if that supplements into having Bitcoin being accumulated, pretty good. Right now, yeah, fiat is king. It makes more sense to be in fiat. In fact, as a trader, it always makes more sense to be in fiat. If your goal is to accumulate more Bitcoins by trading, perhaps on leverage, and then holding those Bitcoins, you are also an investor. You're a long-term investor. Perhaps if you want to call that a long-term trader, it's basically the same thing. What are the bulls waiting for? ETF backed, dip below 6k, volume. Very good question, Dinesh. You've pretty much covered everything that I think doesn't matter. ETFs, we already know the answer to that. It's just a cuck. Backed. See, man, stuff like this. Should we go through, you know, all of the all of the 2018 cucks? So we start off January 2018, Wall Street tax returns. When they get their taxes back, they're supposed to put them back into crypto. Didn't happen. I'm missing a lot now, but we had the consensus pump. That was pretty funny. Absolutely didn't happen. We had the, you know, initial ETF news. I'm missing so much. My memory's terrible. We had that ETF news originally delayed, right? Didn't happen. We had a lot of very, you know, catalysts that people thought it would be different this time, but it never worked. And backed is, to me, the same thing. A dip below 6k. The bulls are defending prices below 6k. It is definitely quite an important level. Are they waiting for it? I doubt it. If it goes below 6k once more, I think it's done for. I think it is going to be pretty painful capitulation. The deal here is, I was actually talking to a friend of mine, and I hope I get this right. It's something like Financial Freedom. He's a YouTuber. Oh god, I don't know. I'm gonna have to find out. I don't watch him, but a friend of mine told me about him, so obviously I want to give him credit because this is his idea. But you know, what he mentioned is that it's actually quite similar to what I've been saying. It's that, you know, the market is going to sort of I can't think of the right words, but it's gonna make people acclimated to this sideways movement and then shake them out. And by shaking them out, that sort of means dipping below 6,000. Now, as you guys know, what I think is maybe a little bit more likely is that before they get shaken out, it's going to be a fake break upwards. So I actually covered this in a VIP stream earlier today. We had a full VIP stream on how to play it if it breaks down, if it breaks up, and also a very important announcement for upcoming trades as well. It's going to be pretty dope. I'm very excited for it. Yeah, what I think is perhaps a little bit more likely is that we get a fake break upwards and then followed by breaking down. I think that's actually quite likely. And, you know, going back to your question now, a dip below 6k, I don't think there are enough bulls left at that level. What we could see is perhaps one final push upwards, just a very quick one, and then the bears regain control. I think that's quite likely. Volume, are the bulls waiting for volume? You see, that doesn't make much sense because the bulls are what would provide the volume if it's bullish volume, so the bulls can't wait for themselves. I see what you mean, though. I don't think that's it, though. Yeah. The question is, who is selling right here? Good question. Well, to be honest, I think this is got something on my I had something on my screen. It was blocking the prices. I think this is a decent time to sell. You know, I mean, it's sideways movement and the trend is still down. So yeah, selling anywhere here is, in my opinion, a good idea. Do I think today's manipulation? I don't think there was manipulation, was it? Well, there always is. My bad. Did not work. Oh right. Okay, because big money was busy in massive stock market dumps. India market took biggest hit. Harry Norm, good question. No, I don't think so. I don't think India has, I don't think any stock market has anything to do with it in this respect. To say that they're too busy in another market, I don't think that works because they use bots. And they do have time. Let's try and move away from this idea of, you know, manipulators being shady, shadowy figures at the top of skyscrapers, that kind of a thing. They are people, right? I mean, it's not they. It's just they, the unknown, right? It's not that. It's just regular people, kind of. And yeah, I don't think there's anything significant to take note of, really. Yeah, it's price sensitivity once again. Frank, I time my lunch at work so I can watch the stream live. The best at breaking down technicals on YouTube. Thank you very much, Frank. That is absolutely awesome. I hope you're having a great lunch. Yeah, very glad that they like the content here. What do I think about the monthly MACD? I don't look at the MACD, and I would be very concerned using it for the monthly. The monthly chart on Bitcoin as it is, I think, is not worth looking at. It's just way too long term. Bitfinex was down 30 minutes. The question is, am I selling? Like I said, I think it's a good time to sell, but this isn't where I would sell, because I think we're going to go a little bit higher. Yeah. What do I think about Digitex futures? I get too many questions about Digitex to the point where I'm a little bit suspicious of them. I was talking to one of their team because they wanted to work with me. I'm just not looking at Digitex. You know, it's a token-based exchange. It is decentralized, I believe. It is leverage trading, no fees, cool. I'm gonna stick with BitMEX until Digitex has proven itself in real-world use. I'm just not looking at it. I'm gonna stick to what works. XRP does not need bulls, as it will get its volume from real-life use case. Bitcoin will fall behind in the future. Crypto Ninja, as much as it pains me to say, I'm kind of starting to agree with you. Not on the Bitcoin part, but that XRP will have real-life use cases. It's looking a little bit promising. Yeah, it is definitely looking a little bit promising. Bitcoin will fall behind in the future. You know what? There are some very smart people who agree with you on that. I'm not very smart, but I don't agree with that as well. Anyway, rather. I think Bitcoin does have a future. Even though it's got some troubles now, I think it's still got a future. Rumor that BitMEX going down tomorrow? Cisco, I guess we'll take a look at that tomorrow. That sounds like just random FUD. We had that one broker exchange shut down, and now suddenly Binance and BitMEX are next. Nah. I mean, I think paying attention to news like that is a huge waste of time. You're just going to raise your stress levels. It's, yeah, news is all about sort of negativity. It's pretty disgusting. Am I bullish or bearish as of now? I'm always waiting. I'm always waiting for confirmation on something. I am more bullish than bearish, but I'm, you know, if we had a scale and we look at the sort of percentages, I'm 51%, and if anything below 50 is bearish, anything above 50 is bullish. Yeah, like I said, I'm 51%. Bitcoin already doomed from day one. Yeah, tell that to the people who bought it. Fucking like 0.1 cents. That's it's not. It wasn't dead from day one. That's a very ignorant thing to say. When do you think bull market will turn with Bitcoin at $10,000 plus? I have no idea, Pom. I don't think it will be this year, but I have no idea. Yeah, very, very hard. So this year has gone really fast. You know, I mean, we're already in October. We're already in Q4 of 2018. I mean, it feels like the January all-time high was, you know, very, very recent. Nailed 90% on XRP the other day thanks to Paulfly's technical analysis. Trust what he says. Thank you very much, Phil T. Yeah, we had, I think, was it your message I shared the other day? Someone, I believe it was you, rode our Ripple trade from 62%, rather with a 62% profit, and then got another 28% profit as well. That was pretty dope. It's actually one of the screenshots I saw a little bit earlier. I got some questions about, you know, can the fee be paid back? I mean, this is entirely subjective. It really does depend on your trading balance and obviously the situation with the market. But you know, this is one of the messages I got. Someone, I can't remember when this was, nailed a trade at 36% profit and then made back the fee. So that was pretty good. That was made back in about 24 hours. I have shared this one before, I believe. Yeah, this guy's pretty dope. Been absolutely killing it in VIP. So yeah, I thought I'd share this. If you guys are interested in VIP, you already know how to join. There's a link in the description, the first one there, t.me/cryptomafia gold. Join that, click on my name at the bottom of any post in gold and send me a message. That is the only way to join VIP. Ask me how to join. It is the only way. There are many scammers, many impersonators, ignore them. And yeah, that's the deal. Now, looking at the alt market, also want to touch on volume very briefly. Volume has actually gone down today. Today has been mostly a bullish day, so this is actually a bullish candle, kind of. It's pulled back a little bit, but it's not good to see volume dipping like this, whereas you know, on the bearish days, volume was actually holding steady. We're gonna have to see how this plays out. It's not a huge difference in volume, but it's still not a good sign at all. Volume, as you know, is my favorite indicator, sort of aside from everything, and it's not telling us a good story right now. As for the rest of the market, you know, it's still a sideways day. It's you know, a couple coins, HODL, you know, doing a bit of a pump today, but yeah, I've never heard of HODL. I mean, I think yeah, everything's sort of above 25 on CMC. Most things above 25 I've never even seen, because yeah, because they're altcoins, because they're shit coins, more precisely. So yeah, it's just not worth the time, I think. Could I make a video on longing and shorting? Irish, I already have. Go ahead and type in BitMEX 4 flies, and you'll see my video on that. Mark my words, XRP will fall. Take profits now. There you go, guys. Adam Troy said it. Don't I think Bitfinex being down for about 6 hours has an effect on volume? Cisco, it wasn't down for 6 hours if I'm not mistaken. It was actually quite quick. It didn't have an impact today. I mean, it wasn't even, you know, it's not, I was aware of it, but it's not something I cared about. You know, I think, like I said, people pay too much attention to this stuff. You know, it's sort, price action is pure. You know, when Alessio, when he said that, he's been saying it for a long time, but when I first heard him say it a couple of months ago, he said price action is pure. I didn't really understand, but, you know, now gaining a little bit more experience, he is absolutely spot on. Price action is pure. Everything else is just noise. You know, I mean, the Bitfinex manipulation. Can anyone here point out? You know, go on the chart yourself. You don't have to do it in the chat, obviously. But tell me where in the past 2 months we had that day of Bitfinex and BitMEX manipulation. Tell me where. Well, don't tell me. If you can, you know, if you want to PM me, go ahead. Tell me the exact day it happened. I remember because, I mean, I made a video about it, but 95% of you won't even, first of all, won't even know what I'm talking about, and yeah, second of all, won't be able to name when it happened, because it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you in this case, it was this massive wick up. This was the 22nd of August. This was that day of manipulation where I believe it was BitMEX that went down and we got a huge pump on Bitfinex. Looking at this price chart, nobody gives a shit about what happened on this day. All that matters is that there was a wick up and it confirms the resistance at 6,800. It doesn't, no one's going to be asking you what happened on this day to result in this wick, because it's not as significant, for example, as this massive candle that broke the resistance. And I don't even remember what news backed this. So, all in all, once again, news is shite. Don't pay attention to it. Yeah, price action is pure. Very well said by Alessio. Hey Fullflies, a lot of YouTubers say at the end of downtrends wedge the market will either explode or crash. What would it tell you if we go into a prolonged sideways move past November? CFFT, I think that's very unlikely. If we do, it's actually quite a healthy thing for the trend, because it likely means we're not going to be in for much more downward movement. Actually, there will be other people who will say that it's going to exacerbate the downwards movement, but I think it's going to make it a little bit better, because people will already be shaken out. But I don't see it happening, like, at all, so I can't comment on that. Ripple was there in 2005. I've got a bit of a Ripple war in the comments, I think. Yeah, with that though, I am going to be heading off. This has gone on for much longer than anticipated. I hope you guys did find the long-term versus short-term sort of analysis part really interesting. If you have, let me know. I'll do more of these kinds of things. But yeah, with that, I am going to be heading off. I'm out. Peace.